Hi everyone, this is Sue Reynolds, President of the American Student Achievement Institute, and this is the first of our video series for Guiding All Kids. First of all, just a little bit about our organization. We are a nonprofit that was founded in 2000 by school counselors. We work nationally but have an office in Bloomington, Indiana. Our mission is to raise student achievement and close achievement gaps, and our expertise is in data-driven systemic change. We create statewide grassroots movements. Just a little bit about my background. I worked in the public schools for 20 years. I developed redesigning school counseling and the Guiding All Kids models while I was in the schools. And I was selected to be the Indiana High School Counselor of the Year and the National High School Counselor of the Year. Those were kind of humbling designations. In terms of professional associations, I've served as executive director of the Indiana School Counselor Association, and also I served on the ASCA board. I proposed the ASCA national standards when I was on the ASCA board, and I chaired ASCA's Comprehensive School Counseling Task Force and also chaired their National Leadership Development Institute. I also have experience working for the Indiana Department of Education as their school counseling consultant for 10 years. I not only did projects with school counseling, but I also helped DOE with projects on school improvement. And I founded this organization, our organization, the American Student Achievement Institute. So our organization has several initiatives. Our current initiatives are Guiding All Kids, Redesigning School Counseling, and our school-wide School Improvement Institute. And then we've done several projects in the past that we've initiated, but also on behalf of other organizations. Probably our biggest initiative was the College Success Coalition, which we designed and implemented on behalf of the Commission for Higher Ed. In that initiative, we worked with 2,000 community organizations who documented over 3,000 local guidance activities designed to increase college access and college success. But you'll see in these past activities that there are components of Guiding All Kids. So in this video, we'll begin by looking at the GAK results. We'll do an introduction to GAK and then very quickly look at what do GAK schools do, and then what support GAK schools receive from us and what support do their districts receive from us. So this is just kind of an overview of Guiding All Kids. And of course, as we go through the workshop series and meet with school steering teams face-to-face, we'll go into lots of the process in much depth. Okay, so let's begin by looking at our results. I think if you're watching this and you're a new GAK school, you're probably realizing that you're going to be putting some time into this. And if I were you, my first question would be, is this time going to be worth it? So let's look at the results. First of all, our process has been highlighted by the Indiana Chamber of Commerce in a study that was funded by Lilly Endowment. The study says that the work that we do is one of the brightest spots on the Indiana school counseling landscape. The work that we do with redesigning school counseling leads to the Indiana Gold Star School Counseling Award. So we were very pleased that this study recognized that this work was one of the brightest spots in school counseling in Indiana. And then also this study explains that the RSC program, which is embedded in the GAK initiative, provides a consistent and comprehensive process for schools to examine, organize, and redesign their school counseling efforts based on student goals and outcomes. So this testimony in this comprehensive study of school counseling in Indiana we thought was very, very positive. We also have in Indiana 285 schools that have used the redesigning school counseling process that is embedded in Guiding All Kids to design the school counseling program that earned the Indiana's Gold Star School Counseling Award. So we're very pleased with that. That's over 10% now of the schools in Indiana that have earned this award and have designed a data-driven school counseling program. We're also pleased that a number of these schools have gone ahead to submit their application for the ASCA Ramp Award. This is a very prestigious award for schools that have created a data-driven school counseling program. But there's 129 schools, and you can see that's well above the number of schools in other states. But in reality, there are 285 schools that could have applied for and qualified for this award. Because we have 285 schools that have earned the Gold Star Award, and all of those schools are automatically eligible for the ASCA Ramp Award. So when you compare our 285 in Indiana to most schools, most states that just have fewer than 10 ramp schools, I think it really shows that the process that we use is successful in helping schools design data-driven school counseling programs. Okay, but the thing that really makes us the most excited is an independent research study that was conducted by the University of Connecticut and the University of Scranton. This study was published by ASCA, and it shows that RSC schools have significantly higher proficiency rates on state math and language arts tests. And this is really, for us, what it's all about. We want to know at the student level, are we making an impact in schools? And to know that at the student level, we have higher achievement in schools that have participated in RSC. We just think that that's what we're looking for. And as you learn more about RSC and Guiding All Kids, you'll see that this makes sense because school counseling initiatives in our schools are designed to help students make sound choices in areas that impact achievement. Okay, so now let's look at what exactly is Guiding All Kids. So we'll start out with some definitions. The scope of school counseling in a Guiding All Kids system involves 4 different kinds of activities: counseling, guidance, advocacy, and management. So guidance is the help that all students receive from parents, counselors, teachers, community members, and it's guidance that helps them make sound choices in areas that impact academic success. So career development choices, academic development choices, personal social development choices. And the key is in guidance activities that they are for all students. Just like math and science is for all students in your building, guidance activities is for every student in the building. For counselors listening to this video, in ASCA terms, guidance is classroom guidance and individual planning. We use the word guidance because when we're talking with others in your community, your principal, parents, different community organizations, the terms individual planning, responsive services aren't as meaningful to them as just the simple terms guidance and counseling. So while as counselors we're thinking classroom guidance and individual planning, we're going to call those 2 types of activities guidance. And then when we get this counseling, same thing. In ASCA terms, we call that responsive services, but locally we're going to talk about that as use the term counseling because that's a term that your parents, community organizations will tend to understand better. So counseling, if we define that, it's the help that some students receive from credentialed professionals to address personal and social issues that are interfering with learning. So counseling is not for all students, it's just for some students. And if your school is typical, about 1 in 5 students, 20%, are bringing a social or personal issue to school that's interfering with learning. So if we really want students to be successful, we have to help them address those personal social issues. Okay, so those are the direct services. And then indirect services are advocacy and management. So advocacy is kind of unique to our system. We believe that a legitimate use of counselor time is in advocating for systemic change, to develop an environment that supports learning for all students. So we believe that counselors should be advocates for individual students and for student groups. And then the other indirect service is management, or in ASCA terms, system support. So management are all the behind the scenes tasks that school counselors need to do to ensure that their counseling program runs smoothly and efficiently. So developing guidance, lesson plans, participating in professional development, collecting program data. Those are all program management activities and are, again, a legitimate use of counselor time. And then we also define what a non-program activity is. So a non-program activity is anything that is not guidance, counseling, or advocacy. So basically, they're activities that have nothing to do with school counseling, but are sometimes assigned to school counselors. So, for example, report cards, honor rolls, master scheduling, or teacher scheduling, those are registrar duties, and sometimes the counselors are asked to do them, but they're not school counseling. State testing, substituting, being responsible for awards nights or graduation, or attendance monitoring. Those are all good activities. They have to happen in a school for the school to function, but they're just not school counseling activities. So we just kind of want to acknowledge that, and then as we work through guiding all kids, we'll look at what percentage of time do your counselors spend in those kinds of activities, and we'll just ask the question, what do you want? We will not prescribe any percentages because we think that that needs to be a local decision after a local discussion. But we do want to define that these things are not school counseling. Okay, so this is our main foundational belief. We believe that school counseling program design has to start with the achievement goals that are in your school improvement plan. So the very first thing we're going to ask your steering team to do is to look at your school improvement plan and to identify the academic achievement goals in that plan. And then as you're designing your GAK program, we're going to ask your team, and you'll have local discussions in your community, about what choices do students need to make in order for your school to reach its academic goals. For example, if one of the academic goals is for a greater percentage of students to succeed in an AP class, then one choice that we need to make sure kids make is to enroll in AP, or to ask for extra help in AP, or to turn in their homework in AP. So there's a whole set of choices that students need to make in order for your school to reach its academic goals. Once we know what those choices are, we'll prioritize and target a few choices that are really key to your school raising achievement. Then we'll design a guidance program and a counseling program to help students make those choices. We'll actually do a root cause analysis, and if we discover that students are lacking knowledge, then that becomes a guidance issue. If students have a social personal issue that's interfering with their ability to make all choices well, then that becomes a counseling issue. So again, we've always known that school counseling impacts achievement, but this is why. This is how it impacts achievement. Sound school counseling programs help students make better choices in areas that impact academic achievement. And as you design your counseling program, the focus will be on those student choices. Okay, so what kinds of choices? The choices that students tend to make that impact achievement fall in these 5 areas. They have successful students choose to participate in academic rigorous courses. They choose to engage. They choose to be motivated they have academic motivation, they have plans for their future, and they've explored their own interests and aptitudes as well as exploring the world around them. So kids that tend to be successful tend to make good choices. But it's our responsibility as adults to set up a situation that enables students to make those choices. We've given students the knowledge and we've given students the opportunities to make those choices. And not just some students, not just the students that come to school engaged and ready to learn, but every single student in your building. So again, if the students lack knowledge, then we'll adjust the guidance part of the school of the school counseling program. If the students are lacking opportunity, again, that's a guidance issue. But if it's a social personal issue that's interfering with learning, then that will adjust the counseling program. Okay, so I just mentioned, I'll just highlight again that GAK's goal is to help all students make sound choices in targeted areas that impact student achievement. Okay, so in looking specifically at Guiding All Kids, one of the things I really want to emphasize is that Guiding All Kids is not a school counseling program. It's not the school counseling program. What it is a student guidance and counseling system that involves several programs, one of which is school counseling. So there are 5 programs in a GAK school. The top one you can see there is the school counseling program, and you'll be working on that in your first year as a GAK school. But the other 4 programs are a teacher advisor program, a community-based guidance program, a parent advisor program where parents are assisted in providing a guidance for their own children, and then academic integration. So we believe that guidance is a shared responsibility. It's not only the responsibility of the counselors, but guiding your community's kids is the responsibility of the community. It's the responsibility of the whole school. So in Guiding All Kids, we share that responsibility in a coordinated manner. Okay, so I'm not going to go through each of these different programs in depth. What you could do is pause the video in each of these slides and just kind of read through these. But basically, in a school counseling program, there are licensed school counselors that are providing academic and career guidance and social personal counseling for students, and they're also providing consultation for students and parents. And then on each of these slides, I've talked about what the advantages of this program, and then some other information about this program. So here you have the program's goals and the types of activities that we do in a school counseling program. So there's the counseling program, there's community-based guidance and counseling, where community organizations are providing activities for the community's young people. And again, to help them make those targeted choices that they need to make in order for the school to raise achievement. Same thing with the teacher advisor program. In a teacher advisor program, there are caring adults who understand active listening, career development, the PK or P16 educational system, and limits of confidentiality. And then these adults meet with small groups of students on a regular basis to help them, again, make sound choices in these targeted areas. So the advantage of a teacher advisor program is that we can get that teacher or advisor to student ratio very low, like 1 to 12, 1 to 8. So that there's some very powerful advantages to implementing a teacher advisor program. Also, teacher advisor can be implemented in a lot of different ways. In my school, we did it once a week for a half an hour. But in other schools, it may be once every marking period or once a semester. So it can be as comprehensive or as you want it to be. So I've written on this slide there some of the local decisions that will help you make, and each school will do this a little differently. Then academic integration is when classroom teachers apply content that they're already teaching to real-world applications in academic, career, and personal social development. So again, we're not asking teachers to teach things new. We're just asking them to substitute a real-world application from the book with a real-world application that is applying the content to an academic, career, or personal social situation. Okay. And then the Parent Advisor Program, we will be providing that program for you in the 4th year of Guiding All Kids. It'll be an online program where parents and their children where we educate parents, and then parents will sit down with their children at the computer to participate in different guidance activities. Those activities can be done in the home, or the school could bring in parents and students and sit them down in the computer lab and do activities together in the evening or on weekends. Or this could also be an initiative in your public library where we bring parents and students to computers. Or if there's a computer lab in one of your community's businesses, this could be an activity where parents and students come together to do the activities. So, and again, in the 4th year of Guiding Our Kids, we'll talk about all the logistics of that. Okay, so in Guiding All Kids, when you're setting up the foundations in the 1st year, this is what you're going to come up with. There will be a master plan that talks about the student choices that you want kids to make, and then it will include different activities that you'll implement, the month those activities are going to be implemented in, what the delivery method is going to be, and who the provider and the focus of the activity, if it's going to be knowledge-based or if it's a guidance activity, if it's applications-based. But the key thing there is that when you look at all of these activities in this sample, you'll see, and this is a sample from a school that we've served in the past, you can see how few of those activities were actually implemented by counselors. This really is a systems approach to guiding kids in your community. Okay, so in 1st year, as we're creating your foundations, the end product is this master plan. So another way to look at this is no matter where students turn, we want them to receive similar messages about the choices they need to make in grades P12. So if the students are at home, if they're at school, if they're in their place of worship, if they're participating in a community event sponsored by a youth service organization, when they're at the store, that they're seeing common messages about the choices that they need to make. Okay, so what do GAK schools do? So as a Guiding All Kids school, you'll be participating in GAK for 4 years. In the 1st year, this year, you'll set up the GAK foundations, you'll create this master plan that I just talked about, and we'll develop one delivery method, the school counseling delivery method. Then next year, the 2nd year, we'll develop the community-based delivery method and we'll begin developing the teacher advisor delivery method. The 3rd year, we'll continue to develop and implement the teacher advisor delivery method. So obviously that's going to be a stepped implementation. We're not going to do it building wide to begin with. It'll start out very small in a manner that it will be extremely successful in the beginning, and then we'll build on that with additional grade levels. And then the last year, we'll design and develop the classroom integration delivery method and the parent advisor delivery method. And then all of this is set up so that this can be sustainable with an amazingly small amount of funding after the 4 years. So, or possibly even no funding. That just kind of depends on where your school goes with this. But at the end of the 4 years, you'll have a leadership team in place that's been trained. You'll have all the resources that you need for the 5 delivery methods, and you'll have those methods established, and you will already be evaluating each of the delivery methods. So this will sustain after the 4 years without funding from a major funding source. Okay, in terms of the GAK organizational structure, This structure is not all designed in the first year. In the first year, you will have a contact person. That's the initial person who got this started in your building. And that person only has one job, and that's simply to convene the steering team. And then their job is pretty much finished. The steering teams there will be 6 members on your steering team. Will delegate tasks, management tasks on that steering team, and that their job is simply to manage the discussion process. So they'll collect data and then they'll facilitate these discussions. The steering team are not your decision makers because there's just 6 of them. Then the steering team will also recruit a GAK council. That is a large group, 25, maybe more members. The council's task is to make decisions. So throughout that first year, as we're creating all the foundations, the council will discuss data and come up with a vision for student guidance and counseling, the program goals, the program's priority goals. They'll look at more student data and do a root cause analysis. And then they'll select they'll design the delivery methods and select the activities. Now, we will also provide for the steering team consensus building tools so that those council discussions will go very smoothly. So you'll get everything that you need to have those discussions: agendas, PowerPoints, discussion prompts, facilitator's guide, and then consensus building tools. So in the first year, we'll have the steering team and the council. And then later, as each delivery method is developed, we'll have a delivery method coordinator. And when the TAP delivery method is developed, we'll have grade level chairs or coordinators who will coordinate the TAP program for their grade level. So this will play out a little differently in a very large school than it does in a small school. We'll find that small schools have certain challenges that because they're small, and large schools have certain challenges because they're large. But the process of the management will be the same. It's just that it'll play out a little differently depending on the size of the school. Okay, so here are the training that we're providing for your steering team, and then in black font are the different discussions that your steering team will be facilitating with your council. So your council will get together 6 times over the year. It's basically once a month for 6 months. And at each of those meetings, there will be a discussion and then a product will come out of each meeting. So either benefit statement, vision, goals, root causes, activities. After every one of those discussions, there will be a product. We will provide a ton of support. I'm going to fly through this because I'd like to keep this video fairly short. But you will receive a step-by-step process where each month there will be a theme, like the first month is getting organized. Then there will be steps, and we'll give you all the tools that you need. There will be templates where you enter the products of your discussions, and then after you enter those products, you can print reports. So you'll have this step-by-step process that your steering team will use. Then we will also provide monthly feedback to you. So when you create a product, you'll submit it to us, and you'll do that electronically. You just hit this button and it shoots to us. And then your strategic planning specialist on our team will assign a status to that product. It'll say meets criteria. It'll say please revise. You'll see here you'll have the rubric items that we're using prior to that submission. And then we'll give you a status and we'll also give you comments. If that status needs revision, in the comments we'll tell you exactly, very concretely, what needs to be revised. And it's never revision just for the heck of it. It's always revision that's going to help this initiative be successful in your building down the road. So, okay. Your steering team will have a manual The manual will provide data collection tools, self-studies. Also, every time that we ask you to have a local discussion, we'll provide handouts for that discussion and then tools to help you facilitate that discussion. When you go to recruit your council, we'll also give you a bunch of resources to help you do that. Okay, in terms of leadership development, we're meeting with your teams in small learning communities. That will happen 8 times in the year. In an email that we're sending to your contact person, we'll give you some options about involving your teacher members of the steering team fewer times than 8. Although we'd love to see them there at all 8. We think that will make you most likely to be wildly successful in this process. We also are actively monitoring your steering team. So if your steering team starts to fall behind or if they start to have troubles, we're monitoring everything and we will notice that, and then we will initiate phone calls with you to see if we can help. And then we provide on-call support. We really are proud of our on-call support. We're kind of known for the high quality of our on-call support, and there's a 24-hour turnaround. On your submissions to us, there's a 48-hour turnaround. So every time back here where you were submitting work, after you submit it, we have 48. The clock starts for us, and we have 48 hours to get that work submitted and your status and comments posted. Okay, we'll provide tons of data collection tools. We'll provide communication tools. And we also provide activity database search tools. And I think when you get to the point where you're thinking about what activities are we going to put in place, you'll find these very, very helpful. Okay, and for support for districts, because we're an online system, we're able to aggregate information across all schools. And there's a whole lot of reports that we'll provide for your district so that they can kind of monitor what's going on, and also so that they can help coordinate what's going on school to school. One of the things that we hear from a lot of schools is that if there's 4 middle schools in the district, that a student's guidance experiences will depend upon which middle school they are enrolled in. So a lot of districts and a lot of schools want to coordinate across all schools some of the services that are being provided. And we'll work with your district to help them know how to help you in coordinating services across all schools. The districts will also look at vertical articulation in your guidance curriculum. We love it when the high school's guidance curriculum builds upon the middle school's guidance curriculum, and that's built upon the elementary school's guidance curriculum. So we'll help your district look at that as well. A lot of districts like to set up a district team, and we can talk with them about that. Or you may want to talk to your district about that. Are we going to have a district team to kind of help us coordinate things school to school, but also looking at vertical articulation in the guidance curriculum. So this is just another report that the district has available. This is a priority goals report that shows the goals in all the schools. This is our survey data that shows the survey data disaggregated by school. We also disaggregate by all the student groups that are in the federal student groups. The district can get a report that shows all of the district, all of the council members. And then we can also look at how many council members are in each school and all together. There is a Gantt chart generator, and there's a means for the district, for you to communicate with the district what your budget needs are, and then that goes into a district report. And then the district also, as well as you, have access to a budget generator that creates an annual budget for you. So that's kind of Guiding All Kids in a nutshell. At the first steering team meeting, your school will be assigned to a strategic planning specialist on our team. And that person will be your point person and your go-to person for all of your questions about guiding all kids. In the meantime, between now and that first meeting, where your team member is assigned to you, please feel free to call me if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about guiding all kids. I know that if you are the first point person, the contact person for this, and you're recruiting the steering team, you're likely to have questions, and we want to make sure that we can answer those. So please, please feel free to contact me. Okay, so we're excited to be working with all of you, and I think it's going to be a great 4 years. This initiative is actually one of my personal dreams that I've always wanted to do. So this is a dream come true for me and all of our team, and we're really, really looking forward to calling you or to working with you. Please feel free to call us or contact us if you have a question.